Welcome to Antiquaria. I'm Bailey Rivera, a professional calligrapher and partner here at Antiquaria. Today I want to give you a brief overview of our calligraphy starter kit. So we'll unbox it and then we'll go through the materials and get started with how to actually do the calligraphy and use all the materials that are involved in the kit. We have this calligraphy kit because not all calligraphy supplies are created equally. And I hand selected these specific calligraphy tools so that it will set you up for success. Okay, let's dive into the box. So, cut it open. And let's take a look at our supplies. Okay, so let's unpack what we have here. We have our packet of papers and exemplars. We have our nib holder. We have our ink, and we have the nibs. Definitely keep this box. We found that students really enjoy storing their work in it until they maybe expand beyond that. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is open your starter kit packet. And this includes all your information that you need to get going. I'm going to go ahead and make some video for you as well for our visual learners out there, but it includes all of the instructions as well as how to get started in writing so that you can do it on your own. Okay, so this is your little booklet. We have how to get started, a little bit about your nibs, which are in the little envelope. There should be 2 nibs, and this is what they look like. These are my favorite nibs for beginners. They're a Japanese comic nib. They are super sturdy and durable. This has a little bit about letter sizing and letter forms, about the ink that's included, about how to practice, and then we have our additional resources, which is a great place. Our YouTube, our blog has a ton of beginner information, as well as Instagram. So in your packet, you have your little gift tags. So when you've practiced, you're able to make beautiful cards for friends and family. You have your getting started instructions exemplars, as well as your exemplars for your lowercase letters, your uppercase letters, as well as flourishing and numbers. This is a guide sheet for you to use with your practice paper here. So you can see how, when you lay that over, you can see your lines so that you can write a straight line of calligraphy. So now that we've gone through the packet and unboxed our supplies, let's dive in and I'll show you how to set up your pen and how to get started with your kit. Okay, so let's get our pen set up and discuss a little bit about calligraphy pens. This is your nib holder or pen, and it is what your nibs get inserted into. Okay, so for these, you look at the top bit there, and you can see the little like tongs or little like grippers in the inside, and you put your nib between the outside of those and the inside of those. So not in the middle, but the curve is going to hug the outer curve of the pen. So you just insert it in there and push your nib in like that. This is a straight nib holder. There's also in calligraphy, something called an oblique nib holder. And you can see how this is essentially a straight holder that has a flange, and the flange throws the nib to an angle. So while I often use an oblique holder for my calligraphy, this is for right-handed people, whereas a straight holder can be for anyone. So in order to keep our kit inclusive, we wanted to include a straight holder. You may be able to use either if you're left-handed or right-handed, but the easiest thing to do is to use a straight holder. The other thing about a straight holder is that for this style of calligraphy, let me get our exemplar. For this style of calligraphy that we have, the script is upright as opposed to something that is slanted. So when I write an upright script, meaning the letters are, their axis is 90 degrees from the baseline, I would use a straight holder. So everything in this kit is setting you up for success with this style of calligraphy. If I am going to do a slanted script, I will most often use an oblique holder. So if that is something that you'd like to move into, you may want to consider purchasing an oblique holder on your own. Okay, now that we've set up our pen, we need to prep our nib. So you only need to prep nibs every time you use a brand new nib. It is because it still has oils from manufacture that prevent it from rusting. There are multiple ways to do this, but one of the easiest is to use a little thing of toothpaste. You just get a paper towel, put a tiny bit on the paper towel, and you're essentially using the toothpaste to coat the nib to wash off that manufacturer coating. If you don't wash it off, the ink will not properly stick to the nib, and you'll have lots and lots of flowing issues when you go to dip your nib into the ink. So now that I've done that, we'll open our ink and we'll check to make sure that it's prepped well. So open your jar and you can dip it straight in. You don't want to dip it too far, but you're looking to load your ink up a little bit past the eye of the nib right here. So you dip it in, perfect, and that looks beautiful. It's not beating up and falling off of the nib like it would if it were not prepped, and it's going past the eye and holding there. So this is perfect. I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off. But you want yours to look like that, nicely coated. And now we're done. We're ready to get set up to write. Okay, so now that we've got everything set up, we're going to set up our desk and we're going to actually get pen to paper. So you have your guide sheet as well as your exemplar. An exemplar is the thing that has the letters with the arrows, and then this is the warm-up exemplar. So we're going to get these out and have them so that we can view them while we're writing. So I'm going to get a sheet of our paper. And actually, if you have a paper clip handy, it's really useful to just kind of clip your paper on. Not necessary, you can hold it with your hand, but it can be nice to have something that keeps it stable, especially if you are dealing with new tools. Okay. So, as we had mentioned, we're going to dip our pen in only to about right past the eye, and then we're going to just start writing. I'm going to be going through this getting started page, and I'm going to show you what it looks like to do these strokes. Okay. So we're dipping in our ink. I have my ink on the right side of my desk because that's going to be the most convenient for me for being right-handed. Okay, so to use a pointed nib, The trick is that you want to have thick and thin. So thin is going with no pressure. Look at those really nice thin lines. Thick is putting pressure on this nib to open up the tines, which are the two sides of the nib, to create a thick line. And then the beauty of calligraphy is truly in controlling your pen to create a thick, too thin line. So, like these exercises right here, where we're curving up, no pressure, down with pressure, up, no pressure, down with pressure, up, no pressure, down with pressure, and ending with a flat. There's numerous exercises on here. So there's this kind of wavy one. You can also do curves in the same way, where you're going up with no pressure, down with pressure, tapering at the bottom so that your transition is beautifully smooth. Like that. You can also start, like in this last one, you can start with pressure, down, and go up, no pressure, down, up, no pressure, down with pressure, up, no pressure. So one of the things you may have noticed is when we go up, we do not have pressure, and when we come down is when we have pressure. So it's very rhythmic to write in calligraphy. At the bottom here, you'll see how to do letter formation. All of the letters in calligraphy are made up of separate shapes. So instead of thinking about it like writing, like we would say in cursive, it's more like drawing these shapes. So for example, an A is an oval where you go up, no pressure, down with pressure, up, no pressure, plus the shape of an I. So down with pressure, tapering, and coming up without pressure. So if you combine those things, you get an A. And similarly, every letter is structured in the same way with different shapes. And you have these shapes to look at. So that's a little bit about how to use and how to get started. Next, we'll move on to the exemplar, and I'll show you a few letters on how to get those started. So to start doing your letters, I want to quickly go over the exemplar. So this is the lowercase exemplar that you have, and it's where I would suggest starting after you do the getting started and warm-up sheet. So as we discussed, the letters are made by individual shapes and constructing them in that way. So they're like an oval plus an I is an A, like I showed you. So you're able to follow the arrows on the exemplar. For example, here is the arrow around, and then it stops, and you come up here, and you come down, just like I showed you. So there are arrows for every letter and how to make them. For example, the R is an upstroke, stop, come up here, and you come around, down, and around. I'll show you a few examples of that writing, but I just wanted to give you a good idea of how to use your exemplars that are provided in the kit. I'm going to write my name in order to show you how to make the letters as well as how to connect the letters together. So in order to make a B, we go up lightly, down, back up lightly, and bring it over here to a connecting stroke. And we're going to connect our A onto that, which is formed with an oval, plus a downstroke, and then we're going to connect the I onto that. Now the L loop up lightly, come down, around, and up. Now the E. All right, you can see there how my ink railroaded, meaning I need new ink loaded onto my pen. So I'm going to dip it, and then I'm just going to lightly tap it into that. I'm not going to press down again and rewrite that, and then I'll just connect back over to here. So if you run out of ink, it's not a problem, and that rhythm will become more and more easy as you practice. And then Y. And up. And let's write my last name, Rivera, R. When we're pulling our letter forms down, because this is a straight upright script, we want our letters to be straight as well. So for example, all of these are going to be perpendicular to our baseline, which is right here. Up, and I ran out of ink again. I'm going to dip it, and I'll come back here and keep going with that. I hope you found that little tutorial helpful to start your calligraphy journey. Never hesitate to reach out if you have any questions at all. We would love for you to join us here each week, so don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can find out as soon as our next video drops. Find us over on Instagram at Antiquary Design, and if you found this video helpful, hit the like button or comment and let us know. Thanks again!